And this is Jeff Kaiser from MightyOhm.com. Yes, sir. Well, thanks for having me on the show, guys. It's good to be back. I know. It has been months. It feels like a really long time, but I've only been working at Valve for 3.5 months. So I don't know when the last time I was on the show was, but it was probably, 4 months ago? 3.5, 4 months ago? Yeah. No, it's actually, for me, it feels like it's been a long time just because my life changed very dramatically and I'm still sort of adjusting to it. It's not every day that you pack up all your stuff and then move across the country and start something that's completely new and different. So yeah, that's right. Yeah. And my wife moved as well, and she's been working kind of the same job, but it's different because she's working in a different office. And so for us, like, everything changed very dramatically because I'd been working at home and she'd been working at home at least part-time as well for years. And so to go back to both of us having like a regular job and commuting to work and stuff like that, that's a big shift. And it feels like everything before that was a long time ago just because of how different it is now. But oh, I love that. I could not be happier about the weather up here. People say that it's about to get really bad. We've had a really beautiful summer here. In fact, one of my coworkers was saying that this is the best summer he's ever had since he's lived in this area. So it's been, yeah, so we've yeah. It does not snow that much here. They get an inch or two a year, if that. And yeah, it's the rain and the gloom and the darkness and the short days, because we've been getting used to it getting dark at 9 or 10 o'clock in the evening, and now the days are getting shorter every day. It seems like the days are getting shorter. And I think in the wintertime, there's only a few hours of sunlight. And so I've been... No, I've seriously been warned, like, oh, you better get ready, it's going to be dark and gloomy, and I think actually people are watching me to see how I respond. Oh, I think people, that's certainly a good tactic, because I was here in February of this year and it snowed while I was here. So, I think if Kylie had come out here, Kylie is my wife, if she'd come out here during that time, she may not have been so keen on moving. Yeah. Well, it's all about presenting everything in the best possible light. I'm hoping to disprove that, but it's actually not totally true. So I know that in my dealings with people at Valve that there are actually quite a few people that have kids, and I think the workforce is maybe the mean age is increasing because Valve's been around for long enough that people that have been there since the beginning, now they have families and they have kids, where before maybe they were, eating day-old pizza at midnight coding. Like, they're not doing that as much anymore. But actually, it's interesting because there's a mix. There are quite a few people that are young, just out of school, or have been working as young professionals, or single, and they can afford to spend all of their waking hours at the company, even though it's not required. It's fun, it's interesting, and it's exciting, and so people do. But I'd say the majority don't. That's actually the exception much more than the rule. I've been trying to strike a balance because I like to work late, and some of the other people that I work with do as well. And so it's not unusual to be there at 7 or 8 o'clock or later in the evening. But a lot of times that's when the interesting conversations about sort of the more softer side of the company and product development, like we're having more free discussions, because the stress of like the workday is sort of winding down and people are becoming more social in the evenings, and kind of it's no, there's actually not. But this is sort of the equivalent of, the coworkers going out for a beer, right? Going to the local watering hole, because that's when you kind of get to, talk more openly about sort of what's going on and what you're interested in doing. And it's valuable to have that. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. It's right. And if you're, I'm sorry, go ahead, Dave. That is cool. Yeah, and the truth is that if you're like a 9 to 5 employee, you might be missing out on that stuff. And I think it's really important to sort of be connected at that level with other people at the company and be involved in these kinds of discussions. And so it's sort of like there's an incentive to hang out and just be there and be a part of this conversation that's happening. And I mean, granted, at a place like Valve, there's relatively few people that are by the clock. Like 5 o'clock rolls around and they take off and go home. But, people with different family and other obligations have different constraints on kind of how much they can be there and how much they can participate. And I like to try to find a balance where I'm there some of the time, but I'm not there, I'm certainly not there at midnight every night, right? That's not a bad idea. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's true. It's very true. Yep. Well, it's just like people in hot parts of the country, they stay at work because there's air conditioning, right? Like it's nice to be there instead of being outside. And so, yeah, you're right. And it changes. Like I was working really hard on getting a design out a couple weeks ago, and I was there late every night just trying to hammer out this design. And then, I finished and the design came back and it worked. And so, you kind of like, you throttle up when there's challenges, and then you try to, recover that time when things are a little bit more, normal. Yeah, that's definitely true. Unless you're a superstar, designer. Yeah. Gosh, it is such a complicated issue, and I can definitely understand the frustration of the community, particularly the community that intersects with the open hardware community. I think a lot of people adopted the MakerBot because it was an open platform that could be hacked and tinkered with, because honestly, the first iterations of it weren't very good, right? I mean, it was a very experimental platform, and it left a lot to be desired in terms of repeatability and usability. And so a lot of very resourceful hackers came together and started glomming things onto it and improving the build platform and messing with the software. And so obviously this community that is very attached to the MakerBot and has been basically fueling its success are now really PO'd, right? Because they feel that they've been slighted, or at least a small number of very vocal people feel like they've been slighted by MakerBot because the MakerBot Replicator 2 is not going to be 100% open source. So, I feel for them. They have a good point. But on the other hand, MakerBot is in this to make money, right? And they're VC funded, and that's right. So was this expected? I think once people saw that the VCs were involved, the writing was on the wall. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I'm frankly amazed at the shitstorm, like how quickly, it was Thursday, right? The Replicator 2 was announced on Thursday, and by Thursday night, it was like everywhere, and it was so the reaction was so intense, and it's just amazing how something like that. It just like the avalanche of that's yeah, and a lot of the things that have been flying around are based on speculation and rumors too. That's the thing, is that no one really knows. No one, I mean, for all we know, MakerBot could be having meetings behind closed doors right now saying, maybe we should open source this because people are getting kind of upset. So, I mean, who knows? Like in a week, the situation might be different. So it's interesting how far this went just based on one announcement and no confirmation on the actual open source status of the Replicator 2. Yeah. Yeah, I I read that entire press release as saying we haven't decided yet, right? I mean, that's really how that read. Well, I mean, why would they be challenged? There's nothing to so we don't know whether they're actually. I mean, it seems like that would only make sense if they were actually legitimately using or violating the license for some open component of their system. But I mean, for all we know, they've redesigned the necessary components that were open, or for all we know, they may continue to use open components and keep those open. But then, for example, restrict the access to their proprietary slicing engine that they've got on the new replicator too. I think that's probably the most likely case. Yeah, sure. Right. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Yeah, and VirtualBox has the same thing. You can download VirtualBox, it's open source, but if you want USB 2.0 support, you have to download a proprietary extension, and that's not open. So you have a mix. You have a mix of open and closed stuff working together. Yeah, right. I really, really doubt that's what's going to happen. Yeah. I think it's maybe not to keep people happy, but because they're required to. Yeah, I definitely see them taking a hybrid approach where things like their proprietary slicer, I can't remember what it's called, but they're introducing a new slicing engine to replace, what is it, Skyneforge? That's right. Yeah, so they've got this special software they're using to do the slicing now. They'll keep that closed, and if they're still using Arduino, obviously they'll keep that stuff open. And yeah, who knows? But it'll be interesting to see. The Open Hardware Summit is next week, and I think Bray is speaking at the summit, right? So yeah, the timing is impeccable. Yeah, it could not be worse timing or better timing for this to have happened. So I don't know, Chris, are you going to the Open Hardware Summit? No, I've got to miss it as well. It'll be really interesting to see how this is hashed out at the summit. I'm sure it'll be a topic for discussion. You have to answer that carefully. This seems like a direct response to the LifeX. Yeah, that's probably the thing that triggered this, because that's been in the news quite a bit recently as an example of. It was on Reuters a week ago? Yeah, and this is a particularly typical Kickstarter in that the first thing you see when you open the Kickstarter page is this beautiful conceptual 3D object that if you looked at it too quickly, you think, oh, well, there it is. There's the product. That's the thing that I'm giving them money to make, right? And yeah. Yep. Yeah, I really like it. Yeah, it's all too easy for a group of industrial designers to come up with some impossible product idea, but it has this great. That's right. Yeah, it's got these great photos and great drawings, and I think Kickstarter is, if you can get that bandwagon rolling, that's right. Yeah, you get the good press, and it turns into this huge thing, and pretty soon money's like pouring in it's like the river of dollars is coming at you, right? And I think it's good that Kickstarter's trying to look out for the apparently very gullible public. Oh, sure. Well, yeah. Well, fortunately, them protecting their interests, at least to a certain extent, protects the general public's interests as well. Well, you could. It's not unheard of. I mean, the Oculus Kickstarter, they had a couple options where you could fly out and you could see their production facilities. You could get a tour. You could meet the founders. I think there's still, you can do those sorts of kind of touchy feely things that get. Yeah, right. Well, if it's an interesting technology, I do think it's cool that these projects make hardware engineers seem like rock stars, though. It definitely it's changing the public image of what it means to design hardware. And you get a cool Kickstarter project going, and the lead designer, he's in the videos. He's got a very public presence. I mean, it's interesting. That's right. Yeah, that's right. I think that's really cool. Yeah. I've got the secret is Canon 5D narrow depth of field. It makes everything look awesome. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, it's all about highlighting the object that you want to highlight and blurring everything else so that the viewer's attention is. See, I don't know anything about making films, but that's my understanding of it. And so the way you do this, right? Yeah. It kind of, if you go on Vimeo, it's everywhere, right? You see it. Yeah, you see this in product photos sometimes. Yeah, particularly done by. Yeah, that's actually closing the aperture down. That's right. Yeah, that's right. Hey, some engineer at Canon worked for years. Yeah. And it that's right. Yep. I was going to say, a lot of people in the US, but that second part. Oh no. I mean, in terms of the LifeX, yeah, I definitely haven't been a supporter of the Internet of Things. I think in particular areas it might be useful. Like, it would be cool if my dryer would text me when it was done, Yeah, I mean, sure. That's kind of cool. And it'd be cool if my refrigerator, I don't know, told me something, but I think that this time to eat. But if you read the Kickstarter for the LifeX, it delivers an amazing range of experiences we think you'll love. Like, yeah, great, thanks. With light bulbs. Yeah. I just don't. Yeah, I don't need that complexity. It's one thing. Yeah, I mean, this is really it's a commentary on having infinite configurability is often not actually an asset, right? Because the more knobs you have to turn and configurations you can adjust, the more likely you are to end up with something that you're actually not happy with. Too much flexibility is not. Yeah, that's right. Well, then maybe you need two versions of your product. The one that actually does its intended purpose, and then the one that connects to your phone and has all these bells and whistles that cost 3 times more. Yeah, I read the I read the post, and it was interesting because he's basically saying that, well, he's just going to cut it off. Like, they're done working on it. And that's probably a good sign, because they could probably keep writing forever, so they need to constrain themselves somehow. And it looks like they're finally getting serious about actually releasing it, which is awesome. Wow, that is a long time in terms of electronics. It's changed a lot in that time. The sad thing is that, well, yeah, sure. But, I mean, the art of electronics, there's chapters about using, what, 68,000 series microprocessors in your embedded stuff. So, yeah. Right. Oh, so you're saying that they should just cut it out because they're... Yeah, that's a valid point. Yeah. Well, I mean, it used to be probably where that was all you had to know to fake being a digital designer, right? But now the digital field has expanded so much that you may as well not even try. Is that what you're saying? Yeah, that's true. That's true. Yeah. Right. Ooh. Wow, it just got really serious really fast. Yeah, that's pretty likely. It takes a few months for a book to actually make it onto shelves. So even if they released it early next year, it'll still be what, spring, summer. Oh God. You would read The Art of Electronics on your Kindle? Yeah. I a bookmarked PDF would be awesome. Yeah, searchable, like full text PDF would be cool. Yeah. Mm. It'll probably be printed on phone book type paper, right? That's right. Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. I'm 6'2", so yeah, I'm 1.10 smoots. Just straight delete that one. Whoa. Them's fighting words. Hardware is dead? I think that is like the definition of a sensationalized title. Wow. Wow. Oh, I think you have to. You don't build commodity stuff, right? It wouldn't make sense to start a Kickstarter to build laptops, right? That were just ordinary laptops that you could buy at Best Buy. You need to be adding value somehow, because otherwise, right? Yeah, you have to pick your battles, right? Target your market appropriately, right? Don't try to compete with Samsung. It's just not going to end well if you're trying to build exactly the same thing as you could buy elsewhere. So, right. Yeah, right. Yeah, I think the role of the contract manufacturer is expanding into this, though, right? There are a lot of CMs you can give half-baked products to, and they'll finish a remarkable part of the design, right? Including, redesigning portions to become to be manufacturable. So, right, that's right. Yeah, right. Yeah. Now I've heard of this even contract manufacturing. Developing firmware and developing wireless stacks, and the amount of capability that's on that end of the supply chain is amazing. So this sort of does exist in a way, I guess. Mm-hmm. Mm. Well, thanks for having me on the show. It's been fun, and I always enjoy it. So thanks. I think it's probably going to maintain a very busy state for the foreseeable future. Yeah, it's been. Yeah, I mean, I've generally free on the weekends, so this works out really well for me, and I'd definitely like to be on the show again. So if you guys will have me, yeah, it's always fun. No, don't tell anyone, but no, actually, I've been trying to get into doing some projects on the weekends, and it's been I'm pretty busy during the week, but I just picked up a DE0 Nano FPGA board that I've been meaning to teach myself Verilog. It's something I've wanted to do for a long time, and now I've got access to some really good FPGA programmers at work, so I can ask them questions. So it's been something I've been playing with a little bit, and getting back into ham radio again, and trying to get a ham station set up at home. And Alan, I think, is interested in getting his license here, so somebody to talk to, that'd be cool. So well, I'll still be around. I'll just be a little more paler, and that's right. Right. Just drown your sorrows, yeah. Cool. Thanks, guys. Bye.